welcome to the Life on Shuffle podcast, a collection of stories about people who have taken chances, embraced the unexpected, and inadvertently discovered their true passion. Today, we are featuring Ryan Hadley, a travel nurse from Hickory, North Carolina. Ryan Hadley originally aspired to work in nuclear power, but ended up failing the test. Ryan then got a job in banking after having many part-time jobs in college. To pursue banking further, Ryan went back to college to get a degree in finance. While in college, he ended up changing his major to nursing instead of finance. After working in hospitals, Ryan decided to establish his own travel nursing agency and is still doing that today. I am Abby, and we are also joined by Karsyn, Abby, Myla, and Mr. Sherwood. Mr. Cooper is not currently here, but he will be editing this. So, first question. Nuclear engineering, finance, and nursing, those are three completely different things.
Completely different, yep.
What was it that attracted you to each of those things?
So in high school, I was kind of maybe in the same boat as you guys, kind of thinking about what I wanted to do, where I wanted to go with my life. Really had no idea what I wanted to do. So I looked to my dad, who worked in nuclear power my entire life growing up. There was a program at a local college where I lived, and this was actually in South Florida. And I decided, hey, I'll go to that, and then I'll work in nuclear power. Did the 2-year program through them, and then at the end, there was each department that you work in at the nuclear power plant has its own kind of like standardized test that you have to pass. Took it 3 times, couldn't get through it for whatever reason. So I decided, well, I'll go back to the type of work I was doing while I figure it out, which at that time was just retail work at a place called Sports Authority. It's like a Dick's Sporting Goods. Did that, decided I was going to move to North Carolina. Knew I didn't want to work retail forever. Got a really good job at State Employees Credit Union. Figured I would just stay there for the rest of my life. They started paying for me to go to school to get a degree in finance while I just worked with them and got experience through that. After about 5 years of that, got a little restless. Helped a couple nurses with some loans and things while I was there, and decided, why don't I try this? Tried that, and yeah, I think that's where I'll stay now.
So your move to North Carolina was more spontaneous. How did you get here?
Yeah, so I grew up coming to North Carolina, going to the mountains like in Boone and things like that, and I loved it. In Florida, before they moved here, I had some friends, Bailey, which I think you guys are in class with, Kaylee Bartley. Her mom was a friend of mine when I was a very young kid. Our parents were friends. They moved to North Carolina when we were still kids, and our families would visit. Loved it here. Met Bailey's best friend, who is now my wife. So I kind of moved up here for her. Also moved up here because just growing up, I loved the mountains of North Carolina and everything. So, yeah.
Can you go into more depth on how you got into banking for us?
Yeah, so when I moved to North Carolina, I didn't really have a job lined up, but I used the experience I had from those retail jobs like at Sports Authority to just get into, I worked at a pilot truck stop for about 6 months, and I knew I didn't want to work at a truck stop forever. So I just kept applying to things, and most of the jobs that I saw were either to Lowe's, where I could continue doing retail, or there was multiple banks, and I was like, a bank might sound good. So I just kept trying to go into the banking. A friend of mine, after I moved here, named Dan, knew someone that was a bank manager at the credit union. Got me an interview, and I started working there. For whatever reason, banking sounded good. Don't really know why. But yeah, no, great job. Taught me a lot of things that I never knew about finances and lending and, buying a home, buying cars, things like that, insurance products, all these sorts of things, great benefits and everything. Definitely is a place that I could have wound up working forever, but again, started getting the itch for something different after helping those nurses. And yeah.
Do you look back at how many times you tried to do the nuclear power energy things?
Yeah.
And, realize that that wasn't something that you wanted to do? Or
Yeah, now I'm very happy I'm not there, because at the time it was like, I know my dad's done this forever. Now I have multiple friends that do it because we all went into that program together. It was something we saw as like, we just have to go for a couple years, stay home, go for a couple years, and it's going to be super easy to get in. Obviously, I didn't get in, but now watching them and seeing, the type of work they do and the time commitment and everything, they make good money, but it does require a lot of, and I have, now when I look back on it, I have no regrets about not being in it. I'm very happy with where I am now. At the time, of course, it was devastating. I didn't know what I was going to do. It felt like the end of the world, but I was 20 years old, and you don't think about how much time there is after 20 years old to figure out what you want to do. You feel like, oh, I don't have anything right now. I have to. I'm doomed pretty much. But no, it all worked out, and I think it worked out for the better.
So you went into nursing because you got inspired by those people that you interacted with. Was it easy to switch from banking into nursing?
It absolutely was not easy. And I'll tell you what. So my grandma was a nurse for about 60 years growing up. So nursing was always kind of something in the back of my head. And when I was working at the credit union, there was one nurse in particular. I would do her loans. She came in for a mortgage loan, and then she came in for a car loan. And when I would look at her, like whenever you're doing a loan, you kind of have to ask a little bit of personal questions. So we started talking about her job and what she did, and she was a travel nurse. When I was going into that nuclear power, there was a thing called travel journeyman, where once you get a little experience, you can go all around the country and even the world and work at other nuclear power plants to work what they call outages. You go there for the outages, and then after the outage ends, you go to another power plant, or you just take some time off and wait for another job to open up. So that always really intrigued me, the travel aspect. So when I found out she was a travel nurse, we started talking more about that, and I was like, oh, I wanted to travel in this one job, never really got to that point. Maybe this will happen. So went into that. The transition from banking to nursing is, it's really big. Like you go from sitting in an office all day, signing forms, typing on a computer, helping people with things, to now dealing with blood, sometimes catching people's throw up in your hands, dealing with people at their worst moments, their sickest moments. Just a lot of differences there. So it's not easy, and going into nursing school is not easy at all. There's a lot of challenges that go into that, but I don't know. I knew it was something I wanted to do, and you kind of adjust to it, push through it, and yeah.
Looking back, do you wish you did something different, like from the beginning, or do you like how you just kind of went with everything?
I do. Sometimes I wish that I would have just went into nursing in the beginning, so then I would have even more experience than I currently do. But I also am very happy that I did. Everything went the way it went, especially with the banking, because it really allowed me to learn more about this different part of the world that I didn't really have experience with, like with financial things and lending products and things like that. So now I have a better idea of even where to put my money, and when I make money, how to invest it appropriately, or what loan products to get when I need, what kind of interest rates to look at, what kind of deposit accounts, good interest rates, things like that. So yeah, no, I'm very happy with the way everything has gone.
When you started travel nursing, did you already know that you wanted to do something more private, or did that come later on?
Like have my own agency, pretty much. Yeah, no, that came later on. It's kind of difficult when you start to travel to have your own agency, because when you travel, you work with these huge agencies that have contracts with these hospitals. So they're the ones that get your foot in the door. I'm very fortunate to have now found this facility in Montana that I really, really appreciate, and I really love working there. So instead of continuing to pay this third party a portion of my things, since this hospital wants me to stay there and I want to stay there, I was able to create this company, and now instead of there being that middleman, just be paid directly through my own company. I can now use that company if I ever want to leave to travel other places. It would just be a little bit more difficult because I would be competing with these other big companies. So it is, I never thought that I would start my own travel agency or anything like that. It is even possible that I could become like these agencies and hire on other nurses and other things that want to be travelers. But I am not to that point yet, and I don't know that I ever would want to be. It's just a whole nother set of responsibility and headache.
I know you said banking, but is there any other life skills that you learned in previous jobs before you got that helped you significantly get where you are now?
Yeah, so even in retail, I started that retail work with Sports Authority when I was a junior or senior in high school, and that was my first experience really working with the public. So you get to see how crazy the public can be and learn how to deal with them on just even minor things that they get angry about, and how to de-escalate situations and things, which now, going into banking, I was able to use. And then as a nurse, you really have to be able to de-escalate situations and deal with people that are angry or people that are like very upset about certain diagnoses and certain situations that they're going through or their family members are going through. So yeah, with like even starting there at that retail, having that experience and being able to learn to just talk to people and deal with people as like a person and like a customer, a person and a patient, like instead of just dealing with strangers all the time. Yeah.
So your career was definitely not a linear path. It was very roundabouts, squiggle lines,
Yep.
Personally, for me, when choosing a career that I want to go into, there's a lot of I just can't really find something that really, really intrigues me, but there's so much that does, and I'm changing my mind like every 5 minutes.
Yeah.
What advice would you give to someone that is like scared of the uncertainty and the unknown of not being on a linear path?
Well, like, I think the biggest thing is like, it's really hard to put yourself and like see yourself at 30 years old or see yourself at even 40 years old when you're 17. Are you guys 17? You think this is it right now. This is the opportunity, but it really is. Like, I assume all of you guys are here because you're very smart. You're all probably planning on going to college. Maybe have an idea of what you want to do when you go to college, but don't be scared to go in with the idea that while I'm there, if this doesn't seem like the right thing, I can change, and I can change what I want to do and still have a whole decade in front of me, 10, 15 years even, where I can make this change and still find something that I like and still get the experience that I need that's necessary and still have a successful and fulfilling career. You might go into college with an idea of what you want to do, and it's just awesome right off the bat. You might be like, yep, I'm so glad I chose this. But, a year in, 2 years in, you might be like, this sucks. I don't want to do this. And you just change, like, you've got so much time. And even if you don't want to go to college, and you find something you want to do through trade school or through just an internship or there's just, I don't know, so many opportunities and so many different options when you're 17 years old that you have in front of you. It's really hard to put it in perspective for you guys, but yeah, I didn't go to nursing school till I was 29. I'm 37 now, or 38 now. It doesn't really matter. You're good.
How did all of your career path changes affect your perspective on life in general? How was it easy for you to stay centered and just go with the flow? How did you navigate that?
Yeah, so I mean, it wasn't always easy. Like I said, when I was 20 and I didn't get into the nuclear power, it was pretty devastating. It was like, this is it. I failed at this. I don't know what else I'm going to do. I'm back to working retail. But then as soon as I was separated from that for a while and I moved to North Carolina, put that in my rearview mirror, and got that job with the credit union and stuff and realized oh, this is a whole nother career that I was never even thinking about. And benefits are good, money's good, the workplace is good. I could see myself here forever. That's really when I started to get that perspective of it's not the end of the world, that my first choice or the first thing I thought I was going to do with the rest of my life fell through and just didn't work out. And then that's really what gave me the courage to be like, hey, I'm 28, 29 years old now. It's okay. I thought I would be in this banking forever, but I can switch careers. I can go into nursing. It's a 2-year degree. I can start working and just do the 4-year part online while I'm working. And it's just easy to, once you start actually living it and seeing it. That's why I keep saying for you guys now, it's hard to put into perspective but I don't know. I hope to maybe shed some light or insight on how it can, still at almost 30 years old, going back to school and finding something that I feel like I really enjoy and am having some sort of success in.
What gave you the courage to not just work in a regular hospital once you got out of nursing school and start your own travel agency?
So I knew when I went into nursing, because of that nurse that I helped, that I knew I wanted to travel. So when I first got out of school, I knew what I needed to do. I knew I needed to get this amount of experience in this type of nursing in order to start traveling. So it was it was set for me. And when I finally got into a hospital, you kind of get, everything kind of comes at you all at once. When you're in school, it's one thing, and then when you're in it yourself and you're the one responsible now, you have the license, you're doing the things, it gets more intimidating and scary. So yeah, I had the courage before I left school, and then when I got into it, I kind of started to feel a little like, I don't know if I can do this again, and blah blah blah. I might just stay at this hospital and do this, but it really just came through experience, like repetition. After about a year, started feeling a lot more comfortable, knew that, okay, if I can do this here, I can do this anywhere. And then, yeah, once I had that 1.5 2 years experience, started traveling, got with the right hospital, and then I wanted to start the company because I didn't want the middleman between me and the hospital anymore. So, yeah.
Would you say that so you don't really have anyone like as your boss, right? You are your boss.
I am my own boss. The thing is, though, so the hospital, they hire me. So I do work in the department I work in. There is like a manager of that department. And technically, me and that manager work together on like my schedule and my pay. Well, the hospital on my pay, but really like my schedule and things like that. That person, while I am employed by the hospital, would technically be my boss. Like I can't just go to the hospital when I want and leave the hospital when I want. But I do set my own schedule. So if I only want to be there for 3 weeks, I say, hey, I'm going to be here from like January until February, 4 weeks, and then I'm going to go home for a month, or I'm going to go home for 2 weeks, or I'm going to go home for a week. I am my own boss in that sense, but when I am actually working there, I do have somebody that I have to obviously like listen to, that's in charge of that department. I can't just go over them and be like, no, I'm not going to do that. So yeah, it's kind of an odd dynamic because I own my company, I pay myself, I do all this stuff. But once the hospital hires me through my company, I do have to listen to like their policies and their, the people that they have in charge while I'm there. Yeah.
How does traveling and kind of not staying in one place affect your family life?
So it's hard. Fortunately, it's just my wife and I. So we, for the most part, I try to have her travel with me. We had 2 old dogs for a while who kind of, when I started going further, like to Montana and stuff, they couldn't really make those trips. So she would have to stay back more, which is very difficult. This type of work helps her to where she doesn't have to work, though. So now that our older dogs have passed away, which is very sad, but now that it's just her and me again, she's able to come out there. Like I'm going back to Montana on this coming weekend on Saturday, and she'll come out there with me for about a month, and then I'll come back. So it's difficult because there are periods of times that we're not together, but you do things like watch movies on Zoom or just talk on the phone a lot. It can be hard, but fortunately we are in a very fortunate situation where she can travel with me. We don't have kids, so we don't have to worry about bringing them all over the place, which I do know travel nurses that have a whole family, at least 1 or 2 kids. They're married and they travel around the U.S. in RVs and they make it work. But yeah.
What's your favorite part of your job? Like, is it the independence or like freedom, I guess you could say you get?
Yeah, I think my favorite part of my job, definitely with the type of nursing I do, the type of how I do the type, like traveling. Yes, setting my own schedule, being able to come and go. There's not many places, there's not many jobs where you can work, 8 or 9 months out of the year and also just not work for 3 months. Like where you kind of pick and choose. It's like, hey, I know I want to go on a vacation in August. I'm going to work a whole bunch until August and save up a whole bunch of money. And then I can just take all of August off and I don't have to worry about vacation time. I don't have to worry about other people's schedules. I just tell them, hey, I won't be here in August. And so that independence is really nice. And, just the people I work with. That's one of the reasons I've stayed in Montana for so long, is the people that I work with there are just great people.
Do you see yourself continuing your travel agency career for the rest of your life? Like, are you content where you are? Or are you, like, open to more changes?
I'm not opposed to more changes, but nothing at the moment has come up, and I do tend to get these itches where I want to change everything up. But no, I'm very content with what I'm doing. With what I'm doing now. I think even if I stopped my own agency, I would still probably travel, just through another agency. Maybe travel a little more locally, because you don't have to go all the way to Montana to be a travel nurse. I could be a travel nurse and work in Raleigh, or be a travel nurse and work in Wilmington or something. But I'm very happy with what I do, and right now my plan is to do it forever.
Has changing your job a lot affected your mental health in any negative ways?
I don't think so. I think, I guess at first you kind of feel like sometimes like an imposter, like imposter syndrome or something, because you're so familiar with something completely different, and then you get into a new field and you feel like maybe you don't belong. But not really. I always see it as just like another learning experience, or like something new to add to the many things that I now have some kind of experience in. Yeah, there's nothing really negative as far as mental, for me at least, that I could think of. No.
You've given like really good advice throughout this so far. What is like something you wish you would have heard when you were going through all this?
When I was just first starting out, or just through all of it anyways, like just through all of it in general?
Either or.
So definitely first starting out, that, if this doesn't work out, if this first choice doesn't work out, it's okay. You'll survive it. There's plenty of other opportunities. And then while you're going through it, especially going from the banking to nursing, because nursing required all of the education and then passing a board exam, just, I don't know, being reassured that, or someone having the knowledge to tell me that it was going to be worth it, or that it wasn't going to take as long as it seemed like it was going to take. You see, 2 or 4 years ahead of you, and you think that's going to take forever. I'm going to be this old when I'm done with it. It's not going to give me much time. But to know that it really doesn't, in hindsight, it doesn't feel like it really took 2 or 4 years, and it really didn't eat up that much of your life when you're 30 years old starting and you get your license at 32 or 33. there's not that much of a difference. You still have plenty of time in front of you to do things with any career. And yeah.
So both with nuclear engineering and nursing, there's a test at the end.
Yeah.
So after failing the nuclear engineering test so many times, how did it feel to pass that nursing test?
Oh, yeah, it was pretty awesome. And I honestly, because I failed that first test and I knew about that situation, I was a little nervous about that. That was in the back of my head during it. But my headspace, I was a little older. I had a lot more experience with things. My headspace going into the nursing exam, which, by the way, is significantly more difficult than that test that I had to take for the other thing, for the power plant. At least I thought it was. I knew I was better prepared, and I was going to do well on the nursing. Whereas that other test, being 20 years old, taking it, my anxiety was so high. I had no real life experiences other than, just school and the little bit of retail work and like these things. For me, I was always, every time I went in to take that test, I couldn't even think clearly. So I would hope that if I took that test again now, I would probably pass it, but it just wasn't meant to be. And yeah, no, it felt really good to get through that nursing test on my first try. No issues. Get out of school, get it done, and start working. Yeah.
Were you ever scared that the nursing career would end like the nuclear engineering career?
Yeah, I mean, that always crosses your mind. Like, you go to school, you do all this stuff for it, and then, of course, that you have that final hurdle at the end. But that it definitely was in the back of my mind. It was definitely something that I thought of. But again, I was pretty confident I was going to be just fine. Completely different headspace, different life experiences, and kind of learned how to deal with my anxiety better and things like that. Yeah. So yeah, definitely in the back of my mind, but it wasn't something that I really spent too much time thinking about, worrying about.
In high school, I feel like there's a lot of pressure to like quickly go into college or university and then quickly find a job afterwards. So do you think it's more important to try to just like go through the process and like live your life and see where it takes you instead of going through that rush?
Yeah, I think so. Like, to an extent, I think if you are locked in and like, I want to do this, I don't think that that's a terrible thing either. But if you're like, I have no clue what I want to do, or if there's like an array of things that you're looking at and you're like, any of these sound like they could be good options, I just don't really have the wherewithal to know which one I really want to do. I think it's absolutely okay to, get through your focus on high school, get through that, and then if those things that you're kind of looking at or kind of interested in, or if you're just like, I don't know what I want to do, enroll in college or enroll in some type of secondary education, and there maybe start to develop like an idea of what you want to do. And even if you enroll there and there's 100 things you want to do and they all wind up not being really what you want to do, it's okay because you have all this time. And even if there's like 1 or 2 or 3 things that you really want to do, and it's something like nursing, or it's something like banking, or it's something like, I don't know, any number of things like being an actuary or something like that, look up like something and see if you can go and like shadow somebody doing it. See if you can like actually see it being done in the real world, and be like, I could see myself doing that. Or, no, actually, that doesn't look like what I want to do. And then instead of just thinking, oh, I'm about to be in college, I better know what I want to do right now, because if I graduate when I'm 21 years old and I don't have this career already set up, then I'm doomed for the rest of my life when I still have 60, 70 years in front of me. Like, you've got time to focus on it and kind of figure it out as it comes to you.
Would you say that having certain experience in all of these career fields was very crucial to get you where you are now?
Yeah, for sure. Again, like, even learning how to deal with people, learning how to manage money through banking, learning how to even fail at what I wanted to do, gave me a new perspective on knowing that I'm still 20 years old and I still have so much time in front of me. All of that has helped. The financial aspect of being a banker has helped me now with my own business and doing the things that I do with travel nursing. Everything that I've done has added some kind of tool to help me be successful at what I currently do. Yeah.
So all of these career fields and jobs really set you up for your future.
Yep.
It's really inspiring to hear, honestly.
It definitely did. It's legitimately like real life work experience that really set me up. I mean, the education and everything is all important and was good and stuff, but actually being out there hands-on and doing things in the real world did truly set me up. As still tools that I use today from even my job in high school. Yeah.
So I feel like today, like being in high school, they're like, you have to know what you want to do. You have to go for it. Failure's not an option because you have to be in it. You have to be locked in. And that's so difficult to like cope with as a high schooler. How did you have the same expectations? Like, I know you knew what you wanted to go into, but did you have the same like pressures where you felt like you couldn't really explore because you had to know?
Yeah, so there was always, even before high school, I remember they, like, people wanting to know, like, hey, what do you think you're going to want to do once you get into high school? What do you think you're going to, you have to start doing this to get into this type of college. You have to start doing all of these things to get into this kind of college. Those pressures definitely did exist. And that's why by the time I got to like my senior year, it was like, well, this college that's near my house where I've grown up, there's all these other colleges, but there's a college right here that's 15 minutes down the road from me, has a program that will get me a job working where my dad has worked my entire life, and he's worked there for 30 years, and I know it's a good job because I know he does well there, and the people that he hangs out with that work there, they all have families and they're all like good to go. So yeah, instead of trying to figure out what I want to do, let me just go do that. Those pressures are definitely there. And I think those pressures most of the time come from good places. People want you to know what you want to do and to figure out everything now. But I also think that it creates so much pressure on you guys. You're already dealing with high school, and you're already dealing with what I assume is very difficult classes. You guys go to school at a college. You're not in a normal high school, which even normal high school is difficult, but you're already dealing with that. You're probably dealing with, some of you are probably dealing with sports and like extracurricular stuff. And driving, learning how to drive, and you all probably know how to drive now, but just all these different things that come at you at once, and then you're also expected to know exactly what you want to do with your life, exactly what career you want to go into. So yeah, I mean, I completely get the pressure. I experienced that pressure too. But again, I think kind of having a rough idea is a good thing, but I personally don't think you have to lock in right now and focus so much on like, this is exactly what I want to do. Unless there's just something you absolutely want to do. You just know this is what I want to do. Then, hey, go for it. That's a good thing too. But if you don't know what you want to do, I don't think it's the end of the world.
So it kind of, the way you've been speaking about like nuclear engineering and banking, it sounds like you kind of went into that more for stability rather than passion. Would you say that you have a passion for being a travel nurse?
Yeah, I think so, especially in the department that I work in now. When I first started working, I was a cardiac nurse, which I loved hearts, I loved all that stuff, but there was a lot more. It was a bit more, I don't know how to say this nicely. There was a lot more, well, I'll just be blunt. There was a lot more death, which sometimes you deal with it, it's fine, but it does wear on you after a while. Now I work in the operating room where our most, we do amazing work, we do really good things, and I'm very passionate about the work that I do there. You get to work in a very high-level team with very high-level people like anesthesia providers, surgeons, scrub techs, other RNs, and you all have one goal, is to provide this one person that is in that operating room, like the highest level of care you possibly can. And it is very, I do have a strong passion for it, for sure.
How do you get through the bad? How do you cope with things when it doesn't go the way you want it to?
So you have to have a strong support system. You have to have people that you can talk to. Being able to talk with other people at work, being able to leave work, separate yourself from it, but also if it's affecting you, have somebody on your side that you can, vent to or tell these things to, that isn't going to, cast judgment or make you feel worse. Somebody that actually will listen to you, like, my wife, I have some other friends in the field that I can lean on. And even if you're into that kind of thing, like, therapy is always a really good thing. It's not for everybody, I guess, but I think it helps me a lot.
So if you could go back to college and know that you were going to end up in nursing, would you rather have went through all those ups and downs in your career or just go straight to nursing?
Well, part of me would like to go to nursing right away so that I would just be fully experienced in it, right? I would have nothing but endless experience. At this point, I would have been a nurse for almost 20 years, and who knows where I would be. But I don't think I would change it, because all of the things that I did before nursing helped me get to where I am now. I think if I went to nursing right off the bat, maybe I would be better off, but in reality, I think I'm probably better off now because of the skills I built and all those other jobs that have helped me develop this perspective and learn these different skills from all these different areas that I can use to help with my business and managing everything.
So how did you bounce back from all the failure that you have went through?
Yeah, so it took a little bit of time, right? Like, so when I was going into the nuclear stuff, I after failing that, it was pretty devastating. I went from thinking I was about to start working at this power plant, to then knowing I'm not going to, and going right back into this retail job with Sports Authority, and thinking, okay, I'm stuck here now for who knows how long. Because again, 20 years old, my first thing didn't work out. I think it's the end of the world. I don't really know how I bounced back then. I think it's just time away from the situation, realizing there's other things to life than, like, realizing I was okay at the retail job at that moment in time, and then realizing, like, hey, I've only been in school for like a few years. I can just use the stuff that I've already started and go back to school for something else. I didn't really know what I wanted to do yet, but I was just, researching it and trying to figure out where I would land. So I think it was just separating myself from it, getting away from it, and then realizing I was okay.
What's been your biggest motivation through all of your changes?
I think my biggest motivation, so definitely being able to support myself, and then when I got married, myself and my wife, but also motivation kind of changes. It kind of goes from, you kind of think a job, you work to make money, right? But you start to get the perspective that money isn't everything. So although money is important with a job, a motivating factor for me was also, I need to make this change so that I have more time. I have more time to myself. I have more time with my wife. I have more time away from this work. So, like, going from the bank where you're open Monday through Friday, 8:30 to 5:30, and the only time you have off are these set PTO times, to going into nursing, where you're first in nursing, or at least when I was first in nursing, you work 3 12-hour shifts. That gives you 4 days off every week, which is amazing. And then even going further from there, you go into travel nursing, where you can go somewhere for 13 weeks, and then you can take, depending on what you want to do. If you want to make more money, you can just keep working. Or you can go somewhere for 13 weeks and then take off as much time as you want, because you don't have. So really, motivation for me kind of changed from, making enough income to support my family, or to support me and my wife, to then finding something where I could still make that income, but also have more time, because, time is fleeting, it's limited. You want to make sure you kind of have that work-life balance, and that's just for me. Yeah. Some people, their whole motivation is money, and they'll work until they have everything. So that's fine.
Would you say that your wife was really supportive of your career changes?
Oh yeah. Yeah. She always, she was always okay with it. She always, she knew if I wanted to do something, she always had my back. And yeah, she never questioned it, never thought anything was a bad idea. I would always, lean on her for advice, and then a couple other people before I would make a big move. And she always was there, supportive, and helped me through everything.
Do you guys have any more questions?
Do you have like any final statement or message that you just want to like get out into the world?
Yeah, I mean, just pertaining to this, just if I can stress it enough, you're super young. You have a lot of time in front of you. I know it's really hard to put into perspective what it'll even be like when you're 25 or 30 years old, but if you don't know what you want to do right now, it's okay. If you do know what you want to do right now, that's awesome. And if you think you know what you want to do and you go into it and you hate it, don't feel like you're stuck.
Thank you so much, Ryan, for joining us today. We loved having you.
Yeah, no problem.
Today's episode was recorded on March 24th, 2026. This episode was produced by Abigail Triplett. It was hosted by Abigail Huffman, Karsyn Drum, and Myla and Mr.